If you're running an MSP, well, staying ahead in cybersecurity isn't just, good business. It is the business.
Absolutely.
But let's be honest, the sheer volume of information out there, it can feel overwhelming, like you're drowning, not gaining insight.
It's a lot, definitely.
So in this deep dive, we want to really laser focus on something indispensable. The powerful link between proactive and reactive threat detection.
That's synergy, yeah.
Think of this as maybe your shortcut to understanding how these two really need to work together to properly defend your clients.
And it's crucial. We've looked at some really compelling material that highlights why MSPs they can't treat proactive and reactive as separate things anymore.
Siloed approaches just don't work.
Exactly. They're really two sides of the same coin. Interwoven strategies you need for, comprehensive protection today.
Okay. So our mission then isn't just defining terms. We want to really unpack proactive and reactive detection. Show why relying on just one leaves you exposed.
Big gaps, yeah.
Yeah, and detail how they actually function together for MSPs day to day. This is your guide, really, to a core part of modern security.
So where should we start? The basic difference.
Yeah, let's lay the groundwork. Proactive threat detection. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, fundamentally, it's about going on the offense, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the hunt.
Right. The hunt. Actively looking for trouble before it sets off an alarm.
Before the sirens go off.
Exactly. And the sources we looked at mentioned several key tactics here. Threat hunting, obviously. That's actively digging through network systems looking for those hidden threats.
The ones that haven't made noise yet.
Precisely. Then there's behavioral analytics. So looking for weird patterns, how systems act, how users behave, things that just look off.
Anomalies that could signal early-stage malice.
And frameworks like MITRE, ATT, and CK come in. That huge knowledge base of how attackers work, their tactics, their techniques, it helps you know what to even look for.
Understanding the adversary.
Yeah. And of course, vulnerability management, continuously finding and fixing weaknesses. Plus, keeping an eye on your attack surface, what's exposed to the outside world.
Okay, so that's the proactive hunt. Searching for the signs.
Now, the other side. Reactive threat detection?
Right. This kicks in after something's already happened. An alert is fired.
Like malware's found? Or an endpoint is clearly compromised? Maybe a cloud misconfiguration got exploited?
Yep. So reactive is all about the response. Quick, effective damage control. That's the focus here.
And the tactics are what you'd expect. Real-time monitoring of alerts. Got to see incidents as they happen.
Incident triage and investigation to figure out, okay, how bad is this? What's the scope?
And using automated response playbooks, those preset actions for common threats to speed things up.
And sometimes you need that deep dive, forensic analysis, to really understand the attack, learn from it, prevent repeats.
Okay. So proactive hunting, reactive responding. Two distinct things.
But, it's understandable why some MSPs might lean heavily on the reactive side. Alerts are tangible.
They create tickets, they relate to SLAs, it's visible work.
Exactly. But why isn't that enough? Why can't you just focus on reacting well?
This is where it gets critical, and the source is really clear. Relying only on reaction. It's like waiting for the smoke alarm. By then, the fire's already going.
Especially with modern attacks. Think ransomware as a service, supply chain compromises. These are stealthy.
Right. Attackers get in and then they just wait. They hang out inside systems for ages sometimes, weeks, even longer. That whole dwell time concept.
And during that dwell time, they're not setting off big alarms usually. They're quiet.
They're doing recon, creeping around, escalating their privileges, moving side to side across the network.
All prepping for the main event.
Exactly. And if your strategy is purely reactive, just waiting for that big, loud boom, you miss all that early stuff, all those crucial signs.
Which is precisely where proactive comes in.
Yes, that's its power. It's designed to catch those subtle hints, those early whispers of bad activity before it blows up.
So you can harden systems ahead of time.
Yeah, preemptively strengthen defenses based on what you're seeing, based on threat intel. It lets MSPs be more strategic about risk, less constantly putting out fires.
So boiling it down, proactive is about cutting down your risk exposure overall, finding things early.
And reactive is about minimizing the damage because it probably will happen eventually when an attack gets through, containing it.
Both absolutely vital. You can't really have one without the other for a solid strategy.
Definitely not. The sources are unanimous on this. It's not an either. A complete layered security plan for any MSP needs both. Proactive hunting, reactive response, working together.
Okay, so we agree both are essential. Now, how do MSPs actually do this effectively? especially when they're juggling multiple clients, tons of data.
Right, the practicalities. And the materials we looked at really hammer home two key enablers, 204/7 monitoring and automation.
Makes sense. Threats don't keep office hours.
Not at all. Our sources point this out clearly. A phishing email gets clicked at 10 p.m. Attackers probe infrastructure over the weekend. It happens constantly.
So what good is a proactive threat hunt if it finds something critical at 2 a.m. on Saturday, but no one sees it until Monday morning?
Exactly. Or a major alert fires off hours. You need that continuous round-the-clock coverage, eyes on glass, essentially.
Always watching.
Yeah.
To spot those emerging risks and to jump on active threats immediately.
Yeah.
Waiting hours, let alone days. That can be the difference between a small cleanup and a major disaster.
Totally. And this is where automation becomes just indispensable for both sides.
How so on the proactive side?
Well, the sources give examples like automated scanning for misconfigurations,
Yeah.
continuously checking cloud settings, network devices.
Okay. Scheduled vulnerability scans too, I assume.
Yep. And even automating some initial threat hunts based on known IOCs, indicators of compromise, takes a huge load off the analysts for routine stuff.
Right. Freeze them up. And reactively. Automation's role there.
Oh, it's huge. Think about automatically isolating an infected machine the second malware is detected.
Cutting it off from the network instantly.
Yeah. Or disabling a compromised user account, blocking malicious IPs at the firewall, automatically creating and assigning support tickets.
All happening in seconds, not minutes or hours.
Exactly. Speeding up that whole response cycle dramatically.
But it's key to stress, and sources do. This isn't about replacing people, right?
Absolutely not. It's about amplifying human capabilities, augmenting the analysts.
Taking the repetitive tasks off their plate.
So they can focus on the complex stuff, analyzing tricky threats, planning strategic defenses. The end goal is better TTD and TTR.
Time to detect and time to respond. Got it.
But even with automation, MSPs face another challenge. Just the sheer volume of alerts, vulnerabilities, it can be overwhelming.
Alert fatigue is real.
Totally. Which brings us to prioritization. You can't chase everything. You need context. Risk-based context. The sources really emphasize this.
Makes sense. Not every alert is DEFCON 1. Not every vulnerability is being actively used by attackers right now.
Exactly. So MSPs need a way to sift through that noise. Focus on what truly matters most now. And that means understanding the context.
Okay, so what kind of context are we talking about?
Several key things. First, asset criticality. Is this alert hitting your client's domain controller? Or is it like a test server in the corner? Big difference.
Right. Impact potential.
Then threat relevance. Is this specific vulnerability actually being exploited out there in the wild? Or is it more theoretical?
Active exploitation makes it much higher priority.
Definitely. And third, the potential business impact. Could this issue, maybe a cloud storage bucket left open, actually expose sensitive client data? Could it disrupt their core business?
So it's about understanding the real-world risk associated with each finding or alert.
Precisely. And modern security platforms, as the sources describe, are using threat intelligence feeds, using context scoring.
Assigning risk scores, basically.
Yeah. Based on criticality, relevance, impact, it helps security teams zero in on the most urgent stuff first. Whether that's fixing a dangerous vulnerability proactively or responding to a critical alert reactively, it guides the effort.
Which is crucial when resources are always limited.
Always. Now, another big hurdle MSPs often face, fragmented tools.
Ah, yes, the swivel chair problem. Multiple consoles, different logins, siloed data.
Exactly. And our sources point out this isn't just annoying, it has real negative consequences.
Like what? Slow response.
Definitely slows detection and response. If info is scattered everywhere, connecting the dots during an attack is way harder and takes longer.
You might miss things too, right? Subtle indicators get lost between the different feeds.
Absolutely. Critical clues can fall through the cracks, and it's just inefficient. Analysts waste time jumping between screens, manually correlating data. It's a drag on operations.
So what's the answer then? How do you overcome that fragmentation?
The sources consistently point towards a single pane of glass solution.
A unified view.
Essentially, yeah. A centralized dashboard, a command center that pulls together all the critical security data.
From all the different tools.
Yeah.
EDR, network, cloud.
Everything. EDR alerts, network traffic insights, cloud security findings, threat intel feeds, even results from proactive hunts and the status of incident responses.
What about things like M365?
Yeah.
Or identity logs? Firewall data?
Ideally, yes. Integrating all of that gives you the most complete picture possible, all in one place.
I could see how that would help. for proactive work.
It gives analysts that holistic view, easier to spot patterns across different clients or different parts of the infrastructure that you'd miss otherwise.
And for reactive, when an incident hits.
Having all the relevant data right there, it lets the team understand the scope faster, coordinate the response better, track the whole thing from start to finish without digging through 10 different systems, much smoother.
So it streamlines both sides of the equation.
Definitely. Okay, so if we pull all this together, synthesize what we've learned from these sources, the main takeaway is pretty stark.
It's not about choosing proactive or reactive.
Not at all. For MSPs dealing with today's threats, you have to integrate both. It's about a cohesive, comprehensive strategy.
And when you layer on those force multipliers, we talked about the automation, the 247 coverage, that unified visibility.
The benefits become really significant. Better incident outcomes, obviously. Less operational headache for your team.
Stronger client trust, too, I'd imagine. They see you're taking security seriously, holistically.
And it helps you scale your security services more effectively. It makes the whole operation more efficient.
So at the end of the day, it's not just about blocking attacks anymore. It's about smart, continuous risk management.
That's what the sources underscore, intelligent risk management. And that requires balancing both sides, proactively preventing what you can, and effectively responding when you can't.
It's a really valuable takeaway. As you, listening, think about your own approach, your own services. Now, take a moment. How balanced are your proactive versus reactive efforts right now?
Yeah, that's the provocative thought, isn't it? Assess that balance, and then think. What could optimizing that balance, maybe using some of these strategies or tools we discussed, mean for your client's security? And frankly, for your own team's sanity and efficiency? Something to chew on.